It's Ash from Super Videos back for another trailer breakdown for the upcoming episode of Fear the Walking Dead. This is my trailer breakdown for Season 6, Episode 4, which is called The Key, which obviously refers to the key that Virginia's Rangers have on their jackets. So with that said, let's dive right into this breakdown. So the trailer starts with this shot of John. He's walking around in one of the communities that Virginia is quote-unquote leading. Now this could be the same Lawton town that we saw in the earlier episodes, but it could be an entirely new one. And then we have this shot of John again walking around. Now obviously you notice the key on his jacket. And of course, we do know that Victor Strand also earned a key. So I'm assuming that John earned a key at some point as well. And he, just like Victor Strand, is one of Virginia's Rangers. We have this shot of people in that community looking at John. And then this shot of, I'm assuming, Virginia giving John a gun. I could be wrong, but I think it's Virginia. But in the voiceover, John says making people feel safe is good. And then right before he says the next thing, we have this shot of John picking up the gun and then Virginia handing him something else. I don't know if that's like a dagger or something, but she's handing him something else. And then we have this shot of John digging up a grave, not exactly sure why, but we will see something with graves later on in this trailer as well. This could be connected to that. And then we have this shot of Virginia looking at John, not in a friendly way. And then this shot of John continuing on with what he was saying earlier, saying actually making them safe is better. So making them feel safe is good, but actually making them safe is better. What John is trying to get at is don't just talk, act. And obviously this gets a reaction out of Virginia because she gives him this kind of death stare. And then we have this shot of Morgan opening the door to some sort of a building and walking in. We have this shot of Victor Strand saying, "Hey man," to John, hugging him. So this is when they get reunited after they were captured at the end of last season. So that's pretty interesting. And then we have this shot of Virginia's sister, Dakota. And then in the background, we have survivors. I'm assuming they're standing by the graves that we're going to see later on as well. And the person to the far left in the background, that's actually the rabbi. Then we get this shot of Virginia telling Dakota to get back inside the house. Then we have this shot of John pointing a flashlight at something. And then we have this shot of this girl who we did see in the second episode in the prison talking to John. She says, "John, what's going on?" As we're going to see later, something's up with John. It's not the old John, or it doesn't seem like this is the old John, which fits the theme of this season. Everyone is acting different. Everyone is acting like their past is dead, just like the tagline of the season says, "The past is dead." And then we have this shot of a walker tangled on some barbed wires. And then we have this shot of Virginia sipping her tea like a classy lady like she is. I'm just kidding about that. And then in the voiceover she says an example would need to be made. So something happened and she's gonna punish someone, much like how she was punishing the people at the prison. So something close to that. Then we have this shot of Morgan. I don't know who he's looking at. I don't think that's John, but he's definitely looking at someone and talking to someone. And then we have this shot of someone putting handcuffs on someone else. Not sure who, but this goes back to what Virginia said. An example would need to be made. So I'm assuming that whoever this is, it could be John putting handcuffs on someone who did some sort of a crime or challenged Virginia or something. And then we have this shot which I was talking about. So we have everyone by a grave. This grave belongs to Cameron. Not sure who Cameron is, but he must have meant something to this community because they're mourning his death, or they're acting like they're mourning his death. But we do see John right there. We actually see Dakota there as well. We see the rabbi and we see Virginia as well. And then we have this shot of John. He's drinking something, I don't know what, but I'm guessing it's an alcoholic beverage. And then we have this shot of Victor Strand talking to someone, most likely John, telling him if you go down this path, there's no going back, which is interesting. I see two things happening here. Either Victor Strand is trying to get John to join him to rebel against Virginia and her people, or I could see John doing something that Victor Strand doesn't agree with, which I think is more likely at this point because of what we're going to see a little bit later in the trailer. I could definitely see John going towards like a darker path. I could be wrong, but it feels like that's where we're going with this. And then we have this shot of Morgan with his new signature weapon. This shot of John walking in the community. This shot of John shooting someone, which is interesting. This shot of Morgan killing a bunch of walkers. And then this shot of John punching Victor Strand in the face. He's fighting him. That's interesting. There's definitely some sort of conflict that causes them to get into a scuffle, which may go back to what I said earlier about John going down a dark path or something along those lines. And then we have this shot of the rabbi screaming, John, John, trying to get him to stop punching Victor Strand. And then we have this shot of John, I think, right by a cage with someone in. Now, we don't know who it is. I don't think it's Madison. I know that theory was going around. I highly doubt that that's Madison. It might look like her, but I don't think it's Madison. I think it's the person that was being punished, or the person that Virginia mentioned needs to be punished. An example would need to be made, she says. So it could be someone who did something to be put in jail. Now, there's also a possibility that it could be June. It could be June. She could have done something that caused Virginia to want to put her in the jail cell. And that could be why John is there. And then we have this shot of John killing a walker, and then this shot of a walker falling into the grave that John was digging that we saw earlier on in the trailer. And that's pretty much the end of this trailer. This episode looks like it's going to be a good one. Last episode was a good episode. It was just a little slow, but it was still a solid episode. But it seems like this episode is going to pick up the pace a little bit, which is great. But with that, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to share and smash the like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.